Hi friends, this is Sunil Arora. I'm going to be moderating this session. I've been an educator, a technology advisor, a consultant, and a solution provider globally for apparel and fashion organizations in almost like 50 different countries for the last 4 decades. And been mainly doing technology-related advisory services. For last 3 years, almost like 4 years, we started with Trace Network Labs, utilizing Web3 in a very big way for global brands and fashion companies. And a few of them have also adopted that in India. It is creating great, unmatched, previously unimaginable scenarios, especially in the fashion scenario for us. And I have been involved in it personally. So it is creating possibilities which are of a different level. It is creating a novel experience. It is creating growth possibilities for fashion and various other things. But more about that in my session tomorrow, where I will be a speaker. Today is about various other industries, where stalwarts from other industries are here, and let us uncover their stories in adopting this technology and utilizing it to their industry needs, and to understand what was their overall scenario, why did they select a particular, what made them select these things, and how they've been successful, or what are the kind of weaknesses and problems they've faced till now. So starting my session with Deepak from DLF. So he has some great opportunities which he has utilized over there, and some various things which he'll like to share with you himself. So I'm very sure this will be a great possibility for you to have a look at, to understand and learn from it. Yes, Deepak. I would start with you our session, and basically uncovering your story of adoption and your experience of utilizing Web3 in DLF.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sunil, and the other panelists. Real estate per se, right, is a little different versus all the other consumables that you have, because, first of all, it's a very high-ticket item, right? Although you create immense amount of immersive technologies, people would still like to come, touch, and feel, because they don't want to put the money on the table, because it's a very high-ticket money that you put on the table. So it's quite important for us to create immersive experiences for the customers. Of course, VR has been there for many years now, but then VR has its own limitations, that it can't go beyond a certain, because it needs another gear, and there is only a limit to which you can actually put it up on the screen in front of them. 20% of our 20% of the customer base, if you see, are non-resident Indians, right, who actually physically can't come and see the product before they buy, but it's really high ticket that they don't want to put the money. So it's quite important to be able to show them, showcase them in a hyper-real manner, because the way we've seen Web 1 to Web 2 to now Web 3, right, the amount of rendering, the quality or the hyper-realism that you actually get in the renderings is like phenomenal. Because right now we go with real space technologies, which is exactly what the gaming industry uses to create the hyper-real experiences. Plus, we also take it to the next level of metaverse, where you actually create digital twins of the buildings that are there, of the entire society that you have. And then there is an avatar that comes and explains to you, he or she actually, that you can choose from, walks you around. And then there is a lot of machine learning that's coming as and when you keep prompting and asking questions to this avatar, that avatar becomes a sales consultant by himself, right? And he answers all the questions, from the space to square feet to dimensions to usage to money to like how much is the down, what is the interest rate, which are the banks you have tie up with. It gives you every single information that actually is not humanly possible also if you come to a real experience center, right? So, but still we need a physical experience center, because people want to come and talk to a physical person before putting 10 crores on the table, right? They don't want to just see something digitally and just, do. And I would say real estate is also a little far away in terms of e-commerce, because first of all, e-commerce needs clean money, right? Completely clean money. Which I don't want to talk about anything, but that's the first point. The second point is, e-commerce generally works through credit cards, right? But to an extent through bank transfers, etc. as well. But then, putting a 50 lakh down payment, right, on just an internet channel is not something people still prefer these days, right? So we are still far away from e-commerce, but if we are able to prove with Web3 blockchain that it's extremely safe to transact any big amount of money, then e-commerce definitely is going to catch up with real estate. But right now, where we are investing is purely on the immersive technologies and how you can actually bring about this. And we're also working with Prop VR and other new startup organizations with Squaryards as well. It's about bringing the leasing industry. See, one is the real estate buying, the other part is real estate leasing, right? Real estate leasing, today, everybody on an average looks at least 5-6 apartments before they rent one, and at least about 10-15 properties before they buy one, right? So the immersive experience kind of cuts down the amount of top choices that you have into the top 3 that you actually want to still physically go and see, right? That's where both the buying and the leasing industry is actually catching up. So I'll probably leave it back to Sunil and then for the other
I'll come back to you
absolutely
for various other possibilities which DLF is using it for. I'll move to Juhi now to tell her experience in Philips, where she works for as digital marketing and head of brand communications. How has been your experience in various categories of products that Philips gets into? And how do you believe that, what made you think that these are the issues which you'll be able to solve for the customers?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So for those of you who know Philips over the years, the company has moved from lighting to domestic appliances to now healthcare. And as in healthcare organization, we still do have the B2B and B2C business. So I'll give you examples of how we're using it in both the cases. When it comes to B2B, we do make a lot of equipment for hospitals that does save people's lives. So in that sense, we want to make sure we're using these technologies to improve and save lives of people. So imagine someone in a tier 2, tier 3 city who goes for an MRI and needs a doctor to look at it immediately and tell them what is the next step. Thankfully, technologies these days can actually utilize AI, informatics, machine learning, all of it, process the data quickly. And if required, if it's an emergency, maybe directly the machine talks to a surgeon sitting in a different country, maybe in the US, who can then guide the doctor who's looking at the scan right there. Not even a doctor, maybe someone who's just operating the machine, and guide the patient and tell them, look, here's the next step. You need a surgery, so you need to go to such and such place within the next day or so. In the absence of such a technology, what would a patient do? Move from hospital to hospital, stage by stage, right? Just moving up the level. So it's saving us a lot of time. It's saving us critical time, which machines are doing for us today. So that is on the B2B side. Now in the consumer space, we also do a lot of grooming devices for male grooming, for female grooming. We also are in the mother and child segment. Now, if I look at where is our customer who we're trying to catch today? Again, immersive technologies has made it very easy for us. We do, our highest selling grooming product for men is something called the One Blade. I'm sure some of you use it or have heard of it. And more so because, we've got Virat Kohli advertising for it all the time. But talking about reaching a consumer, it is Gen Z. It is young boys who start their first trim, are not old enough to use a shaver, would probably use a One Blade because they can style themselves, make sure they don't get cuts and things like that. So we catch them through their favorite passion, which is gaming. We've just launched a One Blade gaming team. We've tied up with, well, I could mention because it's public information, with Nodvin and most recently with esports, where our team will be promoting the product. And I guess this is just one aspect of how brands are tying up to reach their customers, but many are also selling on these platforms. Just in our discussion outside, we were talking about in the fashion industry how people are already selling costumes for their gaming avatars, right? That's probably the next level where you can give yourself a trim or a shave and see how your beard looks in real time and then decide how you want to style yourself. And then moving on to another category where, you know, the Avent brand, which is also a part of Philips, how we're supporting mothers in rural areas where you may not have a doctor on call immediately, but a midwife or an ASHA worker could put an app on you for fetal monitoring and let the doctor know in a city in case there is a need for a surgery, in case there's a need for a preterm delivery. All of that can be monitored remotely today. So these are just some examples, and we can talk of more detail as much as you want.
Absolutely, that's very interesting. And yes, in fashion, I'd like to say that yes, we are already on to the possibilities of creating your avatars, buying it from brands, trying it on yourself, and showcasing it in social media or in metaverses or various other kind of platforms. This is already happening. And yes, a similar kind of a thing for products which you are into in terms of Philips and various other things. It's very much available, and yes, you'll be adopting them very soon. So I'll come to Shivam, who is head of marketing from Motorola. What has been your experience, and how have you been utilizing that in Motorola? And where do you see is the kind of change which you have brought in for your customers in terms of interaction and the various kind of possibilities in terms of customer growth?
Absolutely. Thanks, Sunil. Yeah, so I'll start off with a couple of insights on the industry and then lead to where we are going and why we are going there. So if you look at the industry in India, the smartphone industry is moving towards premium products. So there's a premiumization happening in the smartphone industry that we're seeing today. Consumers are moving towards more premium smartphones, not just in terms of price points, but also in terms of design, the form factors. There are new form factors that are emerging. There are new design, color, material, finishes that are emerging. In fact, at Motorola, we are one of the pioneers in terms of the form factors. So for example, if you might remember, some of you might remember the Razr, the Motorola Razr, which was the iconic flip phone of all time. We've brought the new avatar of that in the form of a foldable phone, and we've recently launched the 4th version of the Razr 40 series, just a week back in India. So with these new form factors, there's a lot of reason for consumers to actually have a touch and feel kind of an experience, or an experience that's very close to it, right? I mean, and along with that, at Motorola, we're also looking at redefining the concepts of design in a smartphone, because consumers today are looking at more premium design. So we are experimenting with form factors, we're experimenting with colors. So if you look at our products, they are some of the best looking products. We've partnered with Pantone at a global level, and if some of you know, Pantone is a global leader in terms of color and fashion trends. And basis that partnership, now we've got exclusive rights to use their color of the year. Pantone selects the color of the devices for us. We are using leather finishes, vegan leather finishes, not animal leather, but vegan leather finish, premium leather finishes, etc. on our smartphones. Now, all these things, they are very difficult to communicate just through static and non-immersive technologies, right? I mean, consumers need to actually, experience them through immersive technologies to be able to make a decision to buy. Basis these trends, what we have really leveraged and we have significantly adopted is AR, right? I think AR is something that has picked up very rapidly also because of the proliferation of smartphones. I mean, the more smartphones there are, it's very easy to activate an AR experience. And we're using that across all our channels. So first of all, when we talk about online, right? I mean, definitely a consumer who's going to buy online is still wanting to have an experience of the product to understand the features, the color, material, finish, and the AR is doing that very easily online. Even in our communications that we do on digital, etc., we are giving the option for the consumers to experience the AR experience. And third, I mean, while it's a little counterintuitive. Why would you have AR at retail? Because retail is obviously a touch point for you to touch and feel the product. But just as a fact, I mean, in India, there are about 150,000 mobile touch points that are available. So if you talk about distribution, there is potential for a brand. I mean, the space is about 150,000 stores. To be available physically in 150,000 stores is virtually impossible for any brand. And hence, through the point of sale material that we are also deploying, so in places where we can't have physical demos, where we can't have actual devices, we are deploying these point of sale materials which are having these QR codes that enable the consumer to actually experience the product through the AR technologies. In addition to that, we're seeing that this technology is also very useful from a training perspective. So for the field force that we have deployed across the country, for our service engineers that we train for the purpose of repairs, etc., AR is something that has come out in a big way for us, and we're definitely leveraging that. Another thing that works is the 360 format, which is the most widely adopted format that is there currently. You see it on social, you see it on Facebook, YouTube, etc., where people get a 360-degree view of, the communication that you're doing. So that is also something that we have adopted, and we are using it extensively in our communication, etc. And last but not the least, I think it's also important to understand the relevance of AI and ML that is coming in as part of Web 3.0, where specifically with respect to customer service and customer support, we have our own chatbot that we've designed, which we call Molly. And that's a chatbot that is driven by AI and machine learning and is able to provide consumers with answers 24/7 on approach. So these are some of the things that we've done at Motorola.
Yes, Web3 is creating next level of e-commerce, which is much more experiential. It's much more interactive. You are in a thing, you are in a game, you are in a story, you are in a store. So all that is genuinely very, very interesting, and it's only possible through this new technology. I'll shift to Dhruval now, head of app marketing from Tata Click. So what has been your experience? How is Tata Click is utilizing this technology? What do you feel, yes, these are the kind of issues which you have been able to solve for your customers?
So I think as we move into Web 3.0, like he also mentioned, AR becomes very, very important. The idea is to give the best experience possible to the customer, solve a lot of problems for them. So when it comes to e-commerce and specifically fashion, the look and feel, the experience of the product becomes crucial. So, for example, furniture, if you can, if you're looking at furniture online and if you can just project it in your drawing room, that is the kind of experience we are trying to provide to the customers. They can actually understand how they can use the product, what are its features. I think Deepak also mentioned, it's very, very important if we can add more and more value through these mechanisms to the customer. So I think the major change which comes in is basically through UI UX improvement, product identification, which is a pain point for the customer as of now. We need to develop chatbots wherein, just customer comes and we understand this is their demographics, their, past purchases, behavior, what are their looks, what are their likes, dislikes and everything, and recommend the right product to the customer. So personalization is the thing which I think e-commerce is extremely bullish on. And we at Tata Click, we are trying to personalize our experience for the customer and improve it multifold. So that is one. The another part which comes in is basically, when you create awareness, when you reach out to the customer, you create more and more personalized communication for the consumer. The ad cost productions goes down, you create more ads through UI, you use images and create videos out of them. And that personalized experience creates a very, very high interaction rate with the customer. Usually a CTR, which is monitored in e-commerce, it rises multifold. And similarly, the interaction with the product also becomes, like you mentioned, a game for the consumer. So that experience is basically, what e-commerce is particularly bullish on.
Yes, another point I would like to say that what we have been able to provide is not only a salesman or a woman in that digital atmosphere to guide you to your liking or the products that you're liking. Another thing about shopping experience which is not available in e-commerce is doing it with your loved ones, going with your friends or with your family and buying something, where this Web3 environment is giving you the possibility of calling any of your loved ones from anywhere in the world to be in that shopping experience with you and help you in shopping. So how good it will be that you are in a Tata Click store, digital store as your avatar, and you can call your wife who is probably traveling in another world, and you can call her for 5 minutes and she can help you in shopping. So this kind of an experience is only possible out of Web3 immersive environments, and then probably she can go back after that, and that experience, that intimate side of things, which is a combination of your shopping experience in a bigger store, physical store, and relatively boring e-commerce scenario, we are in a position to combine it and make it more interesting for you. So yes, I come back to Ravi now, who has been utilizing and working on various kind of possibilities for fashion as well as various other product categories which Flipkart is into. Ravi, what has been your experience in designing, innovating, and then ultimately utilizing it for Flipkart?
Sure. Thanks, Sunil. Yeah, I think the use cases for immersive technologies for e-commerce is fairly clear. I think multiple panelists have already covered it. And I know this is a session on Web3, and a lot of us are talking about immersive experiences more than Web3. And I believe there is a reason. Web3 is essentially a concept of a future of the digital experience where you are able to do everything in a very interactive, immersive, and individualized manner, right? And a lot of the technologies that we have been talking about today, I believe, are fundamental building blocks towards getting there, and that's the thesis that Flipkart has taken in our explorations in the space. So we've been looking at more immersive product visualizations for almost 3 years now. We started with view in 3D, view in your room, which is essentially view in AR experience. And what we realized as we started on the journey is, it's not just the technology itself, but how do you bring it alive in a very immersive and a very intuitive manner, and across a wide set of categories and devices, network speeds, all of that, right? So it's not, the devil is not in the technology, the devil is in the implementation, has been our learning. So what we have done over the last 2 to 3 years is build a lot of custom. So we today have 3D AR experiences live over almost 100 verticals. All our high value products, we have almost 70% plus coverage of view in 3D or view in AR experience. And what we have learned along the way is that we need to customize and build a lot of them on our own to make it relevant and make it render on a device which is say a 2 GB phone or on a 3G or slow 4G internet speeds. So we have our own custom AR viewer today. We don't use the native AR viewer which Google offers off the Play Store, but we have our own custom viewer which is both made lighter, and also the user experience is a little more easy for a first time user. So just to bring a nuance out, vertical placement in AR is very difficult. So placing something on a flat floor is relatively easier. If you have to place a television, a flat screen TV on a wall, or if you have to place a water geyser on a wall, right? Or if you have to place a fan on the ceiling, all of those experiences are a lot more harder. And what we have tried to do through our AR experiences to make those user interfaces and ability to find those planes a lot easier. Similarly, for view in 3D, the size of the 3D viewer as well as the size of the 3D asset itself, 3D model, which plays out, right? Both of those are super critical for us to be able to scale this. So what we have done is we have our own pipeline of 3D optimization. Today, our 3D models are almost 80 to 90% lighter than the rack solutions which are out there. And we need this because at a Flipkart scale, we need to deploy it across multiple devices. So today the model is so light that I can replace a catalog image on a regular, an image which is there, right? A JPEG image with a 3D model, and the product still plays. And we are actually doing that experience under AB now for a few categories like smartphones on our platform already. So that's been our journey in terms of building these technologies out, and we have kind of expanded beyond that. We realized that just view in 3D or view in AR covers a certain set of categories, but for fashion, which as Sunil spoke about some time back, you need a slightly different experience. So we now have try-on as a capability for categories like beauty. So in Beauty Try-On, one of the key insights that we identified when we were launching is customers want to visualize the entire look on their face and compare how it looks when you've used multiple beauty products, right? A kajal, an eyeliner, a lipstick, all of it together, and a blush, all of it together, and compare a pre-post. So our Beauty Try-On experience allows you to put multiple products and on your own face and do a pre-post kind of comparison. We also launched Try-On for apparel. I think, again, Sunil spoke about a future where you'll be able to see yourself in every e-commerce catalog. We are not fully there yet, but we are almost there. We have an ability now for top wear especially, which is what we launched in men and women, where you can customize an avatar of your body dimensions, your chest, waist, height, weight, body shape, and you can visualize how a small, medium, large XL looks on that, what is right, what is tight, what is physically impossible to get into, and what is loose, right? So we have that experience live on fashion today, and I think the future is when a lot of these technologies become hygiene. So I'll just throw a data point out here. According to some recent surveys by McKinsey and a couple of other consulting firms, 47% of Indian consumers say that they will be willing to upgrade and buy a higher value product if they are able to visualize a product immersively and personalize and view it in that manner. 45% of beauty shoppers online expect a try-on experience as almost a hygiene feature when they buy online today. They look for it. So some of these experiences are soon reaching a stage where they are becoming hygiene expectations for consumers, especially as Gen Z, Gen Alpha takes over. I can talk a lot about that, but I'll focus on the point. As these consumers become a larger part of the workforce, you will see that these expectations become a hygiene. And the future of this is how do you make these experiences more and more interactive. So for example, I think Deepak spoke about high value e-commerce transactions. We may not be reaching a 5 crore house yet, but we have started selling 1.5 lakh rupees electric vehicles. So I don't know how many of you are aware, Flipkart has launched electric vehicles, two-wheelers as a category. And the primary hypothesis behind that category is the customer being able to visualize the product in 3D and interact with the model. So we have a capability where you can see how a helmet fits into the boot, right? So it's an interactive 3D model. I think you spoke about, Priyam, about this flip phone, right? The future is, months away, where you'll be able to flip the phone in the 3D model and not just view it. You'll be able to see how it opens, closes, right? How smooth is that interface? All of that is just, weeks or months away. So I think we are quickly moving towards a future where these experiences become hygiene and making these experiences interactive become hygiene. And I think I'll probably give it back to Sunil now. Yeah.
Thank you. We eagerly look forward to Flipkart getting onto that, and we would love to use it. I go back to Deepak once again, talking about one of my experience with one of the large reality company, although I'm from the fashion scenario, but we spoke to various other industries also, where we talked about creating a complete project of theirs in 3D on a metaverse, absolutely utilizing all these technologies and creating multiple towers of that project where people from various strata can come, the consumers can come and probably make their avatars, the family can make their avatars and move around in any of the house of that particular tower, and being able to see what they will see outside and how will it be, that kind of an experience without a product actually being there, much over and above the kind of videos or digital exhibitions or various other kind of possibilities of catalogs which you have. So have you been looking at it, or have you achieved something like that in DLF or various other reality areas which you probably know of?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you mentioned is already a reality. So basically, you are able to get into any apartment or any house in that particular entire complex. You can go to any part of that particular society, go to the clubhouse, the swimming pool, yoga room, meditation centers. I mean, whatever is there, right? The gym, you can even work out in the gym, right? So it's like that amount of technology is already there and it's already real, right? And it's not just getting into that house, you can customize that house. Like for finishes, you can change the colors, you can change the carpets, you can see the same room with furniture, without furniture. Because some people generally you show a VR, element of the room, but you will still want to know the size of the room, right? How does it look without the furniture? So you can remove the furniture, you can add furniture. In fact, you even have digital scales where you just move the mouse pointer and it actually shows the dimension of the room. You can measure the windows, you can measure the doors. I mean, there are things that you may not be able to do actually in a physical house. You can actually do it better in a virtual house. And then you can even move the sun direction. So you can see how much the evening sun comes in, how much the morning sun comes in, with the curtains on, without curtains on. It's like every single possibility that you would want to understand is already real, and it's possible in the digital space.
I'm good. Similar on the weather side of it also, because how will it look in a certain weather? How will it be without that weather? Having a sunny house and having it in these rains, it's a different scenario. It's a great thing.
Absolutely. It also helps business. Like, for example, there are, right now, if you see most of the apartments we do is like 40 floors, 35 floors, 50 floors, right? What happens is the pricing depends on which floor you are in, right? So the more you go, you have preferential pricing. So say a fifth floor apartment versus a 45th floor apartment, the 45th is going to be more expensive. But again, it depends. Delhi is a little different. Delhi is inverse, right? The lower the floor, it's more price because nobody wants to go higher. But Gurgaon is absolutely inverse, right? So we also have different models, right, for different cities. So what happens is that I should be able to show you what the view from a 35th floor balcony looks like.
Certainly.
Right? Because I have not built it. It takes me 4 years to build that 35th floor. So for you to, we sell it off in a week or 10 days, most of our projects. Right? So I should be able to show you. So which means that the entire floor, up to 50 floor, every single apartment's view is already simulated. Right? And you can pick and choose the apartment that you want to go to, and you go to that particular balcony and see the view, but you come to the other room and see the other balcony, the view is completely different. But you'll be able to see the entire city in day view and night view. It's possible. I mean, it's already there.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that's what I was wanting to come to. That yes, all these are all the good examples of this technology. But unfortunately, it's still evolving. It's still not to its optimal level. I'll again come back to Ravi. What do you think are the genuine weaknesses or the pitfalls or the issues in this technology which are still not being handled, although technologists are promising on it, and the overall scenario is quite good? I talk of the negative side of things. What do you believe are the negative sides which are still there and which need to be ironed out till the consumer is fully utilizing it?
Sure. Yeah, I think I'll probably spend a minute before I start answering your question, Sunil, on some background, right? See, I think all of these technologies, the way the right future for all of these technologies is coming back an entire Web3 world, where you are, as an individual, you are able to kind of transverse the world as seamlessly as you are in a physical world. It is interacting and connected to your physical world, and you're able to do everything that you do in a physical world, right? Which is shop, interact, have fun, entertain, get yourself educated, all of those things, right? That's the future towards which we are working towards, right? And for that future to come up, A, metaverse experiences have to become a lot more seamless, and B, Web3 as a technology for digital goods, right? For you to be able to seamlessly interact and engage and play with digital goods, that has to become as seamless as it is to interact in the physical world, right? I think a lot of these, the biggest challenge is having an underlying platform which connects all of these. So right now, a lot of these technologies are in their own silos, right? I spoke about the apparel try-on. I have that experience, but am I able to transverse a metaverse wearing whatever is the product that I have bought, right? Do I have a digital NFT version of that along with a physical product which I'm able to seamlessly use across worlds? So I think interconnectivity and making sure that all of these experiences are A, interconnected to each other, and B, accessible to everyone, right? So again, this will become a lot more seamless if every seller on the Flipkart marketplace is able to create their own experiences. Doesn't require a specialist to kind of create it and render it out, right? So I think scalability is the biggest challenge if I look at it. And the way we are looking at addressing that as Flipkart is we are trying to create a platform for brands and sellers to participate in this. So, there is all the immersive experiences that I spoke about. A lot of those are available on our seller platform today. Sellers are able to avail those like they would avail any other catalog service on the Flipkart platform, creating a 3D model, creating a try-on for their clothes, etc. We have started it out. It's still not at scale, but hopefully in the next year or so, every seller in the marketplace will be able to access, and they will be able to create in a very pipeline platformized manner. Similarly, for brands, we are creating a platform where they can create their own metaverse experiences, where you as a brand want a certain brand ethos, you want to create a certain metaverse world. It becomes almost a platformized approach, where you are able to, enter what is it that you want, and, it gets created. And similarly, we are also in the process of launching a Web3-based loyalty and rewards platform for brands where they can also dabble in the Web3 space, configure their own NFT-based rewards. We are also trying to enable tradability for those rewards on our, by creating a marketplace where users can buy and sell rewards. Again, all of this in a very platformized manner. So I think the biggest challenge is democratization of technology so that every customer can interact with it, and every brand and every seller can configure their own experiences the way they want in a very platformized, simple manner without needing to understand the underlying tech intricacies behind it.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Yes, you've summarized it quite well. I'll go to Shivam once again before we open it for questions. Basically, I would want a very simple question. What are your suggestions for adoption in your type of industry for people to learn from? What are your suggestions that what they should do in case they want to adopt this kind of a technology?
Yeah, I think, adoption is something that is very critical. And I think like you mentioned, democratization of this technology is really required to make the adoption possible. But I think some of the factors that we have to take care of as an industry is, one, the costs associated with it, right? So typically right now, the cost of developing these technologies is so high that democratization is not possible. So only brands like Flipkart and some other big brands are able to develop technologies, the others are not, right? So the more we bring the costs of development, we make it easier for more people to develop, open up these technologies to more and more people to adopt. That is when the democratization will happen, and that is when the adoption will grow. The second thing is also, which is going to be very, very important, and this is not just for my industry, but across industries, I think it's the adoption of tech devices, right? So for example, let's talk about smartphones, right? I mean, with a 1.4 billion population, the estimates anywhere for India penetration is about 700 million, right? So I mean, we're still at about 50% adoption, right? So there is, if people have the right devices to activate these experiences, that is when the adoption will grow. So I think there is tremendous amount of potential with the growth and in the penetration of the smartphones itself to grow the adoption of this technology. And third, last but not the least, I think it's also important for the consumers to be able to experience this properly, right? And if we have to look at that, then for example, technologies like 5G, which are basically expanding the universe with respect to accessibility and the speed and the ease at which people can access, not just through their mobile phones, but in their homes as well, and connect to these experiences and get these experiences seamlessly. I think these three things for me would be critical to be able to enable, adoption across a large number of users.
Thank you, Shivam. Yes, I'd give it to Dhruvil as well as to Juhi to come out with their suggestions, and as short as possible, because then we'll open it up for questions also.
Sure, maybe not a suggestion, but just more of awareness. While there are great examples of how we're converting digital versions of reality to sell. I am not talking about how we're using advertising or marketing, though that is the field I'm from. I just like to stress a little bit more about turning reality into a digital version, which is precision diagnostics, because that is what is a purpose that I truly believe in. And not from a brand standpoint, but personally as well. The more you can give back to people with the use of technology, the more you're utilizing it. So if there is a way for you to replicate what's inside the body externally through diagnostics and help someone with a new lease of life, that's the best use of technology.
Thanks, Joey.
I think I just have a small point to mention, or probably to add. I think everyone mentioned different the scenarios which come along with AI. I think the more important part would be as and when this technology develop, there would be a lot of new scenarios, there would be a lot of new use cases we'll experience, which might be very, very different from how we see it today. And I think it's very important to be very adaptive of these new technologies, because how we experience the world right now will be very, very different in future. It has been very different in the past. And it's very, very important to kind of move alongside. We need to be very updated, we need to be very open, and we also need to keep a check that this is not exactly to replace someone, this is more to optimize and enhance the experience for the customer and for the...
Thank you, Dhruhil, thank you. Yes, now I open it up for questions.
All right. I'm Karan Rao. I have an air pollution company. My question is related to, you mentioned cost in the last round about immersive tech development. So my question is about what have you done for cost cutting or optimization to reduce the cost, and how do you see that scale? Is it like, what are the technologies where you see the cost is the maximum? Is it like, it could be the gig economy which could come and play? You mentioned marketplaces, so this question is for everybody, especially for large ticket products, and where is the cost optimization in the future?
Please.
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. Thanks for raising it. I realized after I spoke that I missed talking about one point in the last one, so I can cover that now. So we've been working on automation. I think cost optimization will come to a large extent through automation. So we already have a pipeline, just to take an example of the 3D model creation, right, which is the underlying asset behind all of these technologies. We have set up through our data science team a model where you can just take a video, a 360-degree video of either a 360-degree video of a product, right? So you basically place a product and just kind of rotate your camera all around it, or you take images from 6 different directions, and you're able to put it into an AI model, and there is an output that comes, which is a 3D model, which is auto-created and auto-rendered, right? So a lot of nuances around this, lighting, texture, all of it has to be gotten right, but we have gotten it right for a bunch of categories. So we are already using that pipeline. So that's one clear way to reduce cost, and again, it's months away for a future where any seller on the marketplace can take a photo with their smartphone, right, through a guided app interface. You tell them that, hey, take this angle, this angle, this angle, and then there is a data science model which is playing out on a GPU behind, and in 2 hours, you have a 3D model which is already created and uploaded on the catalog, right? So in my mind, a lot of cost reduction will happen when AI starts playing a larger role in the creation of these experiences versus a lot of manual intervention required today. The second is compute, right? How can you bring down the compute requirements? How do the models become more optimized, and you're able to kind of create and render them with much lesser compute? So the main elements of the cost are the physical creation cost and the hosting cost, right? So both of it can be reduced through a lot of AI and optimization.
So I'll just probably add to what he just said, right? So specifically, there are so many touch points to customer, right? I mean, always keep customer first and never compromise that part. Now, several touch points to customer, be it, a WhatsApp messaging, to dropping a lead on the website, to calling your call center, to, there are so many touch points, right? And then your website where the immersive experience is also there. Now, for example, if you adopt conversational AI, right, through WhatsApp, etc., right, it will possibly get your call center costs down by 30%. So that's where you find efficiency. So what happens is there are technologies within the entire immersive experience with all the touch points where you adapt one, and then it saves you 30% on something else, and then put the 30% on this. So it's basically optimizing and trade-offs of all the touch points that you have, so that with the same bang for the buck, you are actually getting better bang for the buck.
So this question is for Flipkart, and as rightly said, it's always customer first. So during the lockdown, all these companies like Flipkart, Amazon, when anybody is coming online, from the legal point of view, what protection measures are you taking? Like, are you taking into account their trademarks, which are they filing? What products are they selling? Because there are a lot of products right now in the market, especially of Indian origin, which should not be in the market. So what is the responsibility of Flipkart in that demand?
Yeah, so we have guardrails in terms of listing of products on the marketplace, etc. And yeah,
Is your
I think maybe we
technology
can.
proprietary in nature? Have you filed any copyright, trademarks, anything?
Yeah, we have processes for that. Maybe we can take it offline since it's not directly
Yeah,
pertaining
it's not
to Web3
directly
or immersive.
related to this, but yes,
happy to
you
take it
can
offline
probably
later.
take it offline.
Okay, thank you.
During the lunch session, you can probably speak to him.
First of all, thanks so much for putting this together. And Sunil, I just have to compliment you. You asked a lot of really nice questions. I thought the point about moderator asking about negatives is, not something I come across so usually. My name is Raj. I work with Metafi, which is a company. So Ravi might know that because we work with them on one of the projects. But my question is more open-ended and for absolutely everyone. Now, with real estate, with luxury, with consumer electronics, or healthcare electronics, with smartphones, razors, by the way, by far my favorite childhood possession, and of course e-commerce and fashion as well. What are some unexplored areas that you feel where there's something could be built, but just like how Juhi had a wonderful suggestion of innovation in a particular area in your particular industry, right? Because as founders and creators, we don't really get a lot of interaction with industries and domain experts, right? So what are some unexplored areas you feel in your industry where you would like to see some more innovation, or maybe you have some suggestions for some innovation?
I think there is a lot of innovation which is about to happen. I think we have just started, right? It's only, I think, 1% of where we should have been. And I think the major areas in future where I can foresee there's a lot of innovation which is required is basically, user-generated content when it comes to AI. Businesses are doing, what they have to, what they are trying. With incoming of, products like Vision Pro, Apple and Samsungs of the world moving into this, a lot of user-generated content will be there, and with the incoming of a lot of startups like you, D2Cs and everyone, there will be a lot of adoption of AI where, you won't need a large 1,000-member team to, develop something, or a large 2,000-member team to deliver something. It would be probably, some people will be sitting in silos and creating amazing products. And there, where I feel, AI has not reached yet, there's a lot of, improvements which needs to be done. There would be a lot of open sources which come into picture. And these people will be using these products and automations into developing great businesses and solve more problems, I guess.
So just to add to that, what I think should develop further and what will help people even more is some more investment of technology in wearables. Today, wearables do provide basic information, like an Apple Watch can help you take care of your health, in a bit. But something more that will tell you before you get into trouble or before the need to get to a doctor, that you need to be prepared, which is already in the pipeline, and there's certain tools that help you do that. But I think some more work should go in. More companies like yours can probably help find those AI solutions. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yes, there are more questions. Yeah, maybe we can take them during our networking session, during lunch or coffee breaks. It's genuinely an evolving scenario. The future will showcase some of the new scenarios coming and taking shape in a different way altogether, which were absolutely unimagined, previously unimagined scenarios will happen. And thank you very much for my panelists and for my audience. Thank you so much. You can ask more things, you can interact more, and we will be coming back with more scenarios as soon as they come up. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.